The original Beetlejuice is a cult classic Halloween flick, and one I really enjoy. It isn't my personal favorite holiday or Halloween movie, but that might be because both of those titles are held by The Nightmare Before Christmas. And in any case, it is still a very popular movie. Due to its success, it ended up producing one of my favorite Broadway musicals of all time, an animated series which I haven't watched but have heard good things about, and now, over 36 years later, a sequel. Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. Brilliant title, by the way. Now, I'm going to be honest, I did not have high expectations for this movie going in. I mean, every other modern sequel to a classic film has been pretty terrible recently, so I wasn't expecting much better out of this movie. I was not going out to see this expecting fine art, I was expecting this to be a train wreck, and to be honest, I was actually kind of excited to see it for that reason. Well, I'm sorry to say that this movie was actually kinda good. And since I don't really have any other ideas for a Halloween video, I thought I might as well make a mini review of this film while it's still fresh on my mind. So, first of all, I was not expecting the cast to pull off these roles after 36 years. I mean, I expected Michael Keaton and Catherine O'Hara to be decent, but I didn't think them or the rest of the cast could live up to the original in the slightest. However, the acting as a whole was surprisingly good for both the new and returning cast members. The comedy was also pretty good. Nothing had me laughing hysterically, but there were a few good chuckles here and there. Most of which being from the ghost with the most, but that's to be expected, honestly.
I swear on my dead mother's soul. Yes.
The special effects are pretty good. They appear to use a lot of practical effects like in the original film, which is great to see. Though, I'm pretty sure that the sandworms were CGI rather than stop-motion animated this time around, which was kind of expected, but is still a little disappointing. The soundtrack was alright, though I don't really remember most of it aside from the original score by Danny Elfman, though at one point they played the song MacArthur Park by Jimmy Webb, but all I could hear was the Weird Al Yankovic Jurassic Park parody of that. Okay, from here on out I'm going to be talking about specific details from the movie, so if you haven't seen it and don't want to be spoiled, this is your time to skip ahead. The original Beetlejuice was one of those movies where the title character is barely in it, which, while it had the effect of making the few times he does appear more impactful, it also made you want to see more of him. It's for that very reason why I think the musical is as popular as it is. It expanded on a beloved character who we really didn't know much about.
Holy crap! A ballad already! And such a bold departure from the original source material!
So I'm glad this movie was able to give Beetlejuice more of a presence, expanding on his backstory and just giving him more screen time in general. Okay, now onto my problems with the movie. Let's start with a nitpick, that being that at the end, I'm pretty sure that Astrid, Lydia's daughter, calls the snakes that killed Delia poisonous, when the correct term is venomous. I know that this is the least important detail ever, but I feel that Astrid, the character who was strongly against the idea of ghosts being real due to her logical and scientific mind, would have been the only character not to mix up the two terms. Next is that there are a lot, and I mean a lot, of subplots in this movie, which is really funny to see in a sequel to a relatively simple film like Beetlejuice. This movie has like 10 different subplots, all of which are randomly resolved throughout the movie's runtime, and a lot of which end unsatisfyingly. And while I think the movie is able to juggle most of them relatively well, they begin to struggle with some of them by the end of the movie. Especially when it comes to my third problem with the movie, that being this film's way of handling its main villain. Dolores is kinda an underwhelming villain. She's treated like this extremely dangerous being due to her ability to suck out anyone's soul, and her being the only person Beetlejuice is afraid of. However, she doesn't really do anything other than kill random background characters nobody cares about, except you, Bob. You're one of the real ones, before being defeated without any issue at the end of the movie. I feel like the writers realized they had created a character that couldn't realistically be defeated, especially if Beetlejuice was powerless towards her, and at the last minute thought, hey, remember how we defeated the nearly unstoppable being that was Beetlejuice in the first movie with a sandworm? What if we just did the same thing, but with Dolores this time? Which, as much as I love the sandworms and them being one of the only things that actually seem to be able to deal with ghosts in this universe, I really wish that the characters tried literally anything else to extend the climax just a bit before coming to the conclusion that the sandworms were the only option, rather than immediately sicking the sandworms on her, causing Dolores to feel like such an underutilized character. So in the end, do I recommend you go see this movie? No! Because you should go see Transformers 1 instead, even if you've already seen it. However, if there wasn't a far superior movie in desperate need of help that you should be watching instead of this movie, then yeah, I would actually recommend this film, especially if you're a fan of the original movie. I'd give it a solid 6, maybe even low 7 out of 10. And with that, I wish you all a happy Halloween, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.
Nobody is bulletproof. I work out, I eat clean. Jesus, pass the Dramamine. Time to face the brutal truth. Cause we're all on a hit list. Might not live till Christmas. Choke to death on Triscuits. Hey, that's just statistics. So take a little